our chairman, yes.
Sure.
Okay, I'll call this meeting to order. We have a quorum with the three of us.
Aaron just joined.
And Aaron just joined, so we have 4 out of the 5. Committee member appointment is next. Do we have to pick anyone to appoint?
Well, you get one chair.
Do you
wanna be
good
chair
with being
again.
the chair again?
And everybody's cool with that.
I'm very comfortable with it.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Great.
Sure. So do we need to actually
You need
vote?
to take a vote.
Okay, so is there anyone to nominate?
I move that Nicole Schott be chairperson.
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, goals and practices discussion. So I take it we're approaching this a little differently than the past. Would you like to share your thoughts on
I
our
think
approach?
originally this came about just with this, number one, being my first year. Last year I was here, of course, but it was, I've been here for maybe a week or 2 max when we had our compensation committee meeting. So really it's just a chance for us to, number one, have open discussion about what you guys would like to see at our March meeting where we will present our findings, or we'll go out and do any research you guys would like us to research. Nathan has graciously offered to help me through this year as like a go person to assist me with any questions I have. And then,
I think the biggest change is we used to rely pretty heavily on an AOC survey that surveyed all the, the Association of Oregon Counties, AOC. And they had a real complete nice survey that they just continued. So I think Brooklyn and I just want a little more guidance on what kind of data do you want to look at, or what's your, what's your goals? I mean, are you trying to just, ORS is, I mean, you've seen the ORS, it's really short and not real specific. It just says, hey, compare it to some other businesses or, so I mean, you're interested in looking at, we never really looked at state salaries because they're all in the valley. Or, I mean, the last time I did it, I just drew a semicircle on a map and then pulled all the counties in from that region. So just a rough idea, and then maybe just kind of bat around, like, we have trouble attracting talent sometimes, not always. Is our goal to compensate, the median of the sample or close to that, or is our goal to, push that up, either down, whatever. So that's just, we're just looking for some real general guidance, and then maybe like a compensation philosophy or almost. I don't know if it needs to be that formalized, but it could be. So.
Are you still going to be able to obtain any numbers from like Sherman County or Wheeler County as far as their compensation?
Yeah,
So
it would still be, it's always a year behind. So it would be as of this fiscal year. But yeah, we could get those. And I don't know, like 2 years ago, I just drew a circle on a map, and it was everybody within basically 100 miles. So that kind of pulled in, I never looked at Washington. Like one of the compensation board members said, hey, you guys never even looked, like it's right across the river. How can you argue that it's not comparable? I mean, yeah, specifically for me, if I had a boat, I could be to Washington faster than here. So yeah, I mean, okay. So we kind of looked at those, and maybe that's not a good comparison. I mean, you've got different job titles in Washington, right? So in Washington, the treasurer's position, they call an auditor.
Okay, here's some general thoughts I have. One, I think having comparables is really helpful, and I think your logic of looking at the 100-mile radius and getting as close as possible is as good of logic as any. So I think we'd like to see something like that. I think since we're not involved with the county operations every day, I think we need some sort of report from, I don't know if it's the judge or someone else, of what are what's the state of the county? Like, what's the financial situation? Maybe it comes from Brooklyn. Yeah. But like, when we're considering whether or not to give raises, is the county in a financial situation to do that? And then I think one other factor that I've come to understand more clearly, but don't fully understand, is how the union negotiations, the timing of that and how it plays in. And so I'd like more information about that. And then lastly, the thing in my head is if an elected official believes that they need an increase in excess of what the union is, what's being proposed to the union, then I think we need some sort of like proposal from that elected official that explains their position, why, and
Justification.
what the circumstances are that justify such a change. Overall compensation philosophy, like where we want to be. Personally, I think that's really hard to come up with when we're all changing all the time. Or, I mean,
That's a good point.
I guess my thoughts on it were is it would maybe lend a little more stability to the process, because even with the change, I mean, that'd be something that we talked about next meeting, so you at least would know, okay, this was their logic around this, the decision previous year. I mean, you can get that from listening to the recording, or, I don't know, I was just,
It might be an opportunity too, to, you know, whether we regard the inflation numbers that come from the federal government as accurate, but we could use that as a base as well as maybe making some comparisons to our county, Sherman County,
right.
and Wheeler County, so.
So in the past, they've used the same as the union, which is the East-West Class BC Consumer Price Index number.
Can I clarify something?
Yeah, go ahead, Erin.
I'm just clarifying that we aren't making a total decision today, that we are just gathering information to make a decision later. Is that correct? I must
Yep,
have missed
that's
something. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that's accurate. If you weren't here in the beginning, it was just an opportunity for
Got
us to kind of brainstorm and talk about what you guys might want to
Perfect.
see at the March meeting is.
Thank you.
Before we leave today. our
Appreciate
meeting
that.
in March as well.
Very good.
Yeah, I actually pulled that, the West Side Class BC, so they haven't posted December's.
Yeah, you got,
January.
you gotta wait. It's,
So the
they used it as December number, but it takes a while to get all
currently
calculated.
the annual is 2.7, which is,
Well, that's about in line with, I think Social Security last year, it came up to 2.2 or something.
I think the union's is 3.5.
Well, the union has a ceiling and a floor. So I don't know what the current ceiling and floor is, but
I think that was just within our negotiations through 2024, I think is when it ended, 23. It just extended to 27, but what it was said there was no less than 3.5.
so then the court decides within the range what to get every year?
The union
Yes.
just, I think, is not to go below 3.5, and then there's like some years, one year, I think 22, 23, they gave a 6% increase, and that year it was like 8.7 annually was a CPI, so I think the compensation, from what I saw in historic notes, was that they actually recommended that 8.7 to the court, but then I think it was, the 6% that was approved, and then 5.5 for the elected officials. So then it was just, I don't know why that variance came between all the other
well,
ordinance and,
like the details are lost.
Yeah. but that was just, I think it's just at the discretion of what you guys do for the elected officials, and then I think the court typically goes up with the union, goes off with, which is the no less than 3.5.
Okay. You've referenced a few things. I'm just curious, how many are part of the union? Is everybody that are employees part of the union, or is that by choice?
They have the choice to be in union, but there is, I think it's 29, it's quite a large number of employees, but they don't have to like pay into it.
Right.
If they choose to.
What's the minimum, what's the pay into the union?
Percentage of their annual.
Yeah, I think it's a minimum of $50 or, and then a reward.
Right, okay.
1.27% of their gross.
What is it, Ellen?
1.27% of their gross wages.
1.27%, not to go over
Okay.
$84.
So it could be up to $50 a month.
84.
To be in the union.
Okay. So estimated, what percentage is part of the union, just out of curiosity? So when you're talking about union, negotiations, et cetera, is that like
Pretty close to
70%?
Aaron.
Half? Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would say 35 to 40%.
Yep,
We have a
just
lot.
curious.
We have 72 employees on our payroll total, which includes all of our youth workers and everything like that, so. Full-time employees, it's half definitely, but, all employees for the county, not so much.
Very good.
I don't know how much you're aware of the differences between the two classes. So elected officials they're still employees, but it gets real strange after that. The state says you don't have to pay unemployment. The county can choose to pay unemployment, but they don't have to. So Gilliam County's always opted out of paying for unemployment to elected officials. Elected officials do accrue sick leave, but they don't accrue any vacation other than justice of the peace. It says no RS, they get 2 weeks. Elected officials don't have any set hours. So they can work as little or as much as they need to get their job accomplished. So it's just, there's some just little things here and there that make them different. You can't really fire an elected official, but people can fire an elected official if you recalled. So, it's just little things that are different. And I don't know, like it took me a long time really to even comprehend all of it. And I don't know that I still do. I mean, it's just,
They don't have
It's-
job descriptions, I think that's the hard part.
the job description's in the ORS, so they only have to do what's in ORS. They can agree to do other things if they feel that's appropriate. I've never really declined anything that they wanted to point me to, or I think that's part of just being a team player, but that's like a 90s thing now, maybe. So, I don't know, but.
Is there union representation in the room today?
Kelly Smith is online. She's our union president.
Very good. Thank you.
And we don't have any influence over union negotiations. It
Nope.
just informs a potential decision that we
Yeah.
make.
Absolutely. But there's good information there, right?
Yeah,
Can I say something about history?
yeah, Judge Putnam.
So while I've been the justice of peace, I've worked under Laura Pryor, Pat Shaw, Steve Schaefer, Elizabeth Barr, and now under my administration. And so all of those different administrations have different styles of equitably equalizing compensation so that everything was fair and equitable, because we have non-represented, we have sheriff's office, we have union and elected officials. So there's all these different classes, and how do you keep there from being big disparities? And so that was one of the styles, and I can't remember which judge it was, to bring in that percentage increase and try to present it across the board to create peace in the ranks and create equity and fairness. So that's kind of why it went in line with the union. They drove it because that was the contract we have in place, and there was the hope that we stayed close to that among all.
The other thing happened, ancient history, but, about 2010, they changed, the elected officials used to come in and they bargain individually with the compensation board for the compensation. And Sherman County had a model where they just set one of the salaries as the top and everybody else is a percentage. And basically all the 4-year elected officials were in the same bracket. So currently the justice peace is 6 years. She's, it's a bad example, I suppose, but they're all the same. So the assessor, the treasurer, the clerk, the justice peace all have the same compensation. And then the judge and sheriff are somewhere else. And I think that makes sense because ultimately, not that I'd run to be the clerk, but in theory I could run to be the clerk. in 2 years, and I would be expected to do her job. I mean, there's not really a,
But you would go down to the bottom of the
you
scale.
go to the bottom of the scale. See, that's another thing that I don't know. The union has a scale. We beat this to death, but this is history, right? So union has a scale and it has, I think, 5 steps at this point. And yeah, it's one of those things, that's what the union likes to negotiate. They like to negotiate changing the scale, so compress it, so they get rate increases faster, or stretch it out by adding a step or something, right? So this is kind of going on. I mean, I've worked for kind of 16 years. I've seen it, kind of rate to remember too, right? It shrinks and grows every once in a while. And sometimes it's just the top and bottom stay the same, it's just a piece in the middle. And this isn't, it's the elected officials till a few years ago just followed the union's step scale. There's been arguments whether it's reasonable or not.
On that note, if the elected officials are going to propose a different scale than it is now, but I think it should be a proposal and there should be like, this is the reason why.
Okay.
I don't think we care. But there should also be an analysis of the financial impact. So
Very
you
true.
understand all the nuances of all the interrelations and all of that. So if you're gonna propose changing it, bring to the table why, and why your new way would be better, and what the financial impact of the new way would be.
So the union currently has the salaries schedule. And does the elected officials too? Is there a? Okay.
Ours is compressed, so I think it's 5 years instead of
Okay.
10.
Okay.
So, but that just happened a couple years ago. I go look.
With the teachers, we've changed it recently, and there were a lot of driving factors. So I would say, don't just do it willy-nilly, have a good reason and explain the financial impact.
I mean, at this point, I think most of your elected officials are top scale than the judge. And
Yeah, so I'd
just
say, I think
piece.
I haven't heard of any rumblings of that, but
Yeah.
are you guys coming forward with any salaries? Scale and we'll find out more, I suppose. Okay, so again, salary schedules within a 100-mile radius.
Do you is that just public, or do you want to look at private also? I mean, private ones tend to be real hard to pull out of people, but we always try.
I mean, private what? Is there a private county
I think I
judge?
was limited to the public at this point. I mean, if you feel like you need more information from the private sector, maybe we should think about that, but right now,
I mean, some of the jobs, I don't know if there's really, like, say, pick on the clerk, I know there's a comparable private position. I think that was always the struggle we had in the past. I mean, the treasurer's position, I suppose you could compare to an accountant or a finance person of some sort, investment manager. But, yeah, some of the other positions, I don't know that there's a good analog. Similar.
I saw Erin posted a comment, but I didn't have time.
There was an email, I don't know if you guys could see, I didn't want to open my email because I think, can you see my screen?
I do agree with Rich, keep it public unless there's other things that you want to think that would be valuable to us.
Yes, she's just camera off. She's on a college visit with their middle son, so she's dueling this
Got
morning.
it.
Sorry, Reed, what did you say?
I just said, I agree with what Rich said as far as keeping it
Okay.
in the public sector and unless there's reason to.
Okay,
bring
get
another
that, a report of the state of the county, from the judge, myself, we'll work on that. Mix it with the timing of the union negotiations, anything that, if anything of relevance comes from that, we'll let you guys know. And then if an elected official needs an increase above the suggestion that we're making, to be sure to come forward with a narrative and good reasonings why they believe that, the supporting documents. Anything else? good, short and sweet, as we hope, less than 30 minutes, we're keeping it that way. I guess while we're here, any other comments?
But I'm assuming you want to see where everyone is currently in this fiscal year, highlighted in yellow where they fall on the scale, and then a potential proposal or some options for, the next fiscal year where people would lie. That's what I would like if I were you, is that right? As one of the documents,
Yes.
simple, it would be simple, it'd just be one page for each.
Sounds great.
We actually, we'll see if we can attempt to set a meeting. Okay. Right now, we have like just a rough draft budget agenda. To hopefully have our budget committee meeting April 7th. So we would hope to meet with you guys sometime, so April 7th is the first Monday in April. Meet with you guys maybe the week of March 17th or March 24th. So that you guys can make your recommendation.
I'm gonna be gone the week of March 24th.
Okay, so March 17th. How's that looking for folks?
Is that a Monday?
Yeah, so March 17th is a Monday, but anything in that week really.
Same
Mondays.
time on the 17th.
March 17th and 9th.
Sounds good. We'll have to wear green.
Appreciate.
And Aaron also commented what combos have taken place outside or inside a meeting of this type that the union has had input on. Probably not very much. Because it hasn't been negotiated since before 2021, so.
Right, and we have a current contract that's in place through 27,
Yeah.
so there's no negotiations to take place.
What I think Haley would be willing to.
Oh, yeah.
That's the current representative of the union, Haley Wolf something. Again, not that it would be pertinent to this, but
And then April 7th, the next.
April 7th is the budget meeting potentially. Okay, I don't have anything else, March 17th. 9
So that
a.m.
April 7th meeting, was that the budget committee or this committee?
The budget
Budget
committee,
committee.
so that's where we'll take your guys' recommendation to them then. So not that you guys aren't required to be there for
Yeah,
that, but
because what ORS says is that the budget committee has to approve any change to elected officials' compensation. It's nice to have a recommendation for the budget committee meeting.
All right, any